Hey guys, Mozo Nera Tech here, and today I'm bringing you my comprehensive late game conclusion to my Void Knight Hammerdin guy. One of the better builds in the game in my opinion. It is very fun, very fast, extremely tanky, has very high armor, can max out your block, has amazing recovery, and really good, not only screen wide AoE clear, go jumping the packs, you know, with your hammer still up, your auras, your Void RF, if you will, your Righteous Fire Void version. And it just has so many good things that are automated, and it's really kind of a one-button build. It's a lot of fun to play, and I think you should give it a shot. Now, you might be asking, oh, why should I play this over other builds? Well, Last Epoch's a game of fun, and this is really a more casual-friendly build guide, actually. So I played this game, the starter variant, and I killed Abberoth. The video that I uploaded by day 2 was with my set items, actually. With the time rot buffs and the Void Knight passive tree buffs, all those changes are really good. And with those changes, I was able to kill Abberoth pretty much day 2 with just starter gear. So I do have a video covering that if you want to look at that, but it's going to be more oriented to pushing towards the late game. A little bit over 500 corruption now. You can easily get to 1000. You can even push further if you really min-max and max out your block. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But again, if you're thinking about giving Void Knight a shot, or you want to play something else, besides like Erasing Strike, or you want to play something else besides self-cast Smite, Hammerdin is an excellent build to try, and I think you would have a lot of fun. Like, it's such a fast build. Like, I had people commenting me, like, I'm a casual guy. People are like, dude, why are you level 88 in this amount of time? I'm like, well, I don't know, dude. Like, the build is really that fast, and it's really that easy to play, and it's a very smooth progression. So the patch has not even been out a week yet, so again, if you're thinking about it, you might want to give it a shot. Alright guys, so this will be an in-depth guide. It's going to be a little bit longer. So again, why play Hammerdin? There's a lot of good things about it. You know, it's one way to play like a pure dot play build. I'm not sure if applying Time Rot and Doom through hammers is going to be better than doing it through Smite. Self-cast Smite might be better. I know that's pretty popular, but I don't know. I love like the D2 Hammerdin. Like the MTX is awesome. You move around. You just Anomaly. Is it Anomaly or Volatile? You Volatile Reversal as your traversal. You go from one pack to the next, and it's just awesome, right? Your Devouring Orb helps with screen clear, and you really don't need it. You apply all the dots. It just really works well as a whole. Like, everything is your damage over time. Everything scales with damage over time. Everything scales with void damage. And it's just really incredible as a build, right? So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the skills. So we'll try to go in order, except we'll talk about some things later. Really, the hammer throw is gonna, you can just, some tree like this. One thing to note about hammer throw is that supposedly, like this node over here, weighted, this actually does affect Disintegrating Aura, even though it says it doesn't. There's some bugs with Disintegrating Aura, even since before 1.0 was released. I've been playing the build that long in many different iterations, so I will say that I think a member of EHA, they actually came up in one of the Reddit threads are saying that there's some things going on with it, but this does affect it. People have tested it. Not sure if it's still this way, if it was fixed. I don't know, right? But that's going to be your first mandatory skill. Volatile Reversal, another mandatory skill. One thing to talk about here is that every time you use this, you're going to have a 100% uptime on enemies taking more damage over time, which is really nice. We go over here, just Frenzy while able to jump back, increases duration while you're able to jump back. We never really do jump back, because as soon as your cooldown of jumping back is like up, you can use your traversal again. You're gonna have your Frenzy up like 100% of the time. You're gonna have your enemy damage taken up 100% of the time as well. And you know, you just get some, while you're able to traversal back, you get more armor mitigation applied to dots, which is actually, I think, pretty overrated. A lot of the dangerous abilities in this game are really hit-based. A lot of, like, the Harbinger stuff, pretty quick reactions. Like, both Harbingers, like, their version, they have, like, the slams. They have, like, the line thingy that's, like, kind of tough. And even Abberoth is a lot of, like, hit-based damage, I feel like, right? Except for the degens. Now, we're going over here. One thing to note about Volatile Reversal is that Void Essence. Void Essence is pretty much how you're never going to go on this build. So we always want to have 3 Void Essences, because that's going to be 9% more void damage at all times. And as we consume it, when we go you know, it takes a while for me to go spam and everything, but once you do go you're gonna have your 3 Void Essences. You get Void Essences from Volatile Reversal, Devouring Orb, and the tree. And the tree, what's going to happen is that when we have 3 or more and we go we're going to get 30% of our maximum mana. That scales better with mana. So for us, we get like 45 something mana back, 168. right? About 30%, yeah, something like that. Almost around like 45 mana, which is enough to like give us enough time back with Volatile Reversal, Devouring Orb expirations, and our on hit from the previous node right here to give you Void Essences on bosses and kills. So really, really nice. And maps, you'll never go on bosses. When I do Abberoth, I actually just spec out of that because it's really not needed. But the Harbingers, you can keep it on, and you'll never have problems going So that's one thing to know about Volatile Reversal. That's why I go here with the Void Essences. It might be overkill, but I like having 100% uptime. Like, when I expend those Void Essences, I want them right back up because I want that more damage multiplier to still be up. Next up, we'll go to Anomaly. So Anomaly is pretty standard throughout history. This hasn't changed much. It's always been this way. You get some Shred. You get a whole bunch of Leech. The big thing here is that enemies take more Void damage. For 4 seconds, I probably should move some points around and give it 5 seconds. And what I actually like to do is try to get the cooldown as low as possible on Anomaly. So 9.7, it's normally a 12. With the 12-second base cooldown, you're still going to have 100% uptime. You're just going to have to cast Anomaly on cooldown with the time bubble buffs. And you get all the benefits pretty much 100% of the time. So you do want to cast this on cooldown when you can. And pretty much, like, I only have a 5.7 second downtime of enemies taking big bursts. That's a big damage multiplier, so it is wise to take it. Next up, we'll talk about Void Cleave. So Void Cleave is really, you need a two-hand weapon. With Abberoth's command, what's going to happen is that it gets rid of that requirement, and now you pretty much can use Void Cleave. Void Cleave is just really cool because, again, we are Disintegrating Aura. We're a damage over time build that focuses on dots, void damage, time rot, doom. It used to be Future Strike, no more Future Strike. The relics actually have Future Strike on melee, which is pretty interesting. So I wonder if maybe like a dot build with Future Strike and a melee version might work pretty well. But you know, it's another thing. So Abberoth's command, really cool. Just I mean, this is over 400% increased damage over time just for this. You get Void Pen, which is super valuable as you get the high corruptions. I'm kind of messing around 530. You can get to 1,000 easy. It's super solid. Very good recovery, defensives, life, armor, and that's pretty much it, right? You go down the tree here. You get Ravaging Aura right here. You don't need to max out some of the stuff. If you really want, you can actually not go with a certain blessing and get your Void Shred from here, and I think it's Devouring Orb over here. You can do that, but I like having 100% uptime on the Void penetration, shredding that way, and you know, just having a big void damage for your next Disintegrating Aura, because the flat does help the Disintegrating Aura and hammer throw. So like your Void Cleave, you get your big burst, is like, it's not like too noticeable, but you know, over the course of a longer fight like Abberoth, it is a little bit more noticeable, right? So you get your dot. It's just really cool. You just have all these dots going on. Devouring Orb scales with damage over time, right? Your Disintegrating Auras and your Void Cleave, right? So now let's get to our last two skills. We just talked about this. I think this is pretty much mandatory. I will say that if you want, what you can do is you can get this weapon. I have it in the filter, recolor a weapon. Nagasa sit there, and that has damage over time implicit. And what you can do is get pretty much this affix. We'll go over here. You would probably want to get damage over time and void damage, I think, general. So if you got double prefix, I want to see if I can buy a sword, and I'll show you guys real quick. Imagine this is the Sightmer or whatever, right? So what you would do is you would get your set item, which I do have, right? So what you could do now, and I guess I'll just talk about this now because we're talking about the weapon and Ravaging Aura. If you don't want to use Abberoth's command, what you can do, this is covered in my early game version. You can use like Symbols of Hope, which I don't recommend, or Abyssal Echoes, or Smite with the idols if you want, right? So it's all up to you, whatever you want to do. But if you don't want to use this, or you're not able to farm this, you're not able to get Abberoth and get a drop, because I farmed the first Harbinger like 10 times, no Harbinger drops. So I think they disabled the Harbinger drops until I got Abberoth. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know. But you would go in here, and after you disenchant these sets with a Woven Echo, should be over here somewhere. It's one of these. You disenchant your set pieces, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I have damage over time. Like, if this was void damage, I would keep that. I would, this is kind of tough, but let's say this was an open prefix. I would despair that as a T2 or 3. I got unlucky. Despair that. I hit that on the T3, and what would happen? You would do it with, like, more Forger potential, like, use your brain, obviously. and you would use Blade of the Forgotten Knight. And what happens is that as you do this, all of a sudden it changes. So now it counts as your set piece, right? So you can use a sword. It only works with a sword because it's got to be the same thing. You can put the sword in there, put an Ami in there, and use a different shield. You can do that if you want, and you can get, you know, that's massive Void Pen with Time Rot, and that's 36% more damage pretty much 100% of the time. So that is an option. You can't use Ravaging Aura. I love Ravaging Aura, so I like Abberoth's command, but this is an option if you don't want to do it. You could probably use Symbols of Hope or Smite or, again, Abyssal Echoes, but I would lean towards Abyssal Echoes actually for that. All right, so lastly, Devouring Orb. This is pretty interesting because I'm not sure if this is the best method. It might be better just to use Smite. But the thing about Smite is that there is opportunity cost with Smite. Like, Smite doesn't scale with your damage over time. We have dot damage, like, in so many spots that it's almost like, you know, penetration versus all against dots. It's like, why the hell are we using Smite? Another thing is that Smite, they got rid of the inherent vitality scaling. You need 5 points to get the vitality scaling, and like, I don't have too much vitality anyway, but it used to be inherent, so like that's another negative to using Smite, which is why I kind of don't want to use it. And it's just like, the thing about Holy Symbols of Hope is like, it's incredible. You get really, really easy max block. I can free up some gear, affixes otherwise, but you get pretty decent damage. But the Symbol of Hope's like flat void damage. It didn't seem that noticeable, and the worst part about Symbols of Hope is that going 15 points into Paladin is like, ooh, that is a tough ass. Like, that is, there's really nothing like good for us, honestly. Like, you get some Ellie resist and maybe some health, but like, I don't know. It's just the Void Knight tree is so good that it hurts to even like dip into the Paladin like that just for Symbols of Hope. And that pretty much leaves us with my choice, Devouring Orb. So you have a couple options here. You can use Devouring Orb. It's pretty much automated. You can pretty much use it to shred Void Resist as utility. You get 10% more Void damage, which is like incredible. You can get 20% more with Vitality scaling if you want to go that route. I pretty much just focus on the dot damage as much as possible. It's automated. And the other big thing with me is that as I use Devouring Orb, you have a 75% chance to get the Void Essence. So with Devouring Orb, the passive, Volatile Reversal, the tree, that's how you pretty much maintain your Void Essences. You run around and just auto-cast. The Echoes follow you too. That's a really, really nice thing about Hammer Throw and Devouring Orb is that when it echoes, they still follow you. So that's really, really cool, right? Just something nice. Like, you're always going to have your Void Essence up. Just really, really good utility. And that's the skills. Like, how you play the build, this is literally it, guys. Like, you can press W, like, every now, like, 15, 20 seconds. And when you want your big burst, I pretty much just use Anomaly on cooldown. Like, that's really it, too. You can spam Void Cleave if you want to, move around to automate your Devouring Orb, and that's the playstyle. It's just like this. It's beautiful. It's super satisfying to me, at least. And it's just a bunch of fun, and it's very, very fast. I don't even have... I was faster, but, you know, I dropped some points here from Dreadform, right? And we'll get into the passive tree. All right, guys, sorry. I know it's long, so the passive tree, pretty much standard. Armor, less damage taken, block. Vitality is good. Strength is still good. It gives you armor, some resist, get some block from Forge Guard, maybe get block from Paladin. Not really sure. That the Void Knight tree is incredible. So talking about the Void Knight tree, there's some things I'll talk about first. So you always want 5 points here. You really do need, like, I could see argument for not taking Void Waves, but the thing is that when you talk about last Epoch and kind of like Path of Exile, you need a mix of increase, more enemies taken as, like, enemies take more damage, and flat. If you have 10,000, I think I have like 1,000% increased void damage, but with all that, it doesn't really mean much if I don't have any sources of flat, right? So like, the spell damage here doesn't help with Disintegrating Aura. This still does. So like, I really like maxing out all the flat damage I can. That's why I do it. Get life. The life nodes are incredible. Strength, I have more armor. Again, that's not increased, that's more. So big difference getting strength, the flat armor from strength, or increased, and then you get more armor here. We move on. I used to be big on Rot Ripples. I'm not going to anymore. You don't need that much Time Rot chance. It's only 12 stacks, so it's not like other ailments where the more Time Rot chance you get, the more damage you're going to do, because the more stacks it caps at 12. The only thing with this is that going to the next node, Rock Grip, it's like, I honestly don't understand it. Blah, 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 whichever is lowest. So I don't know what that means. I like, if you have like 70% time rot chance, 50% chance to slow, 40%, and this is like with void skills specifically. It says that specifically. It doesn't say, you know, overall, like, and then time rot damage per attack or cast speed. So if I have like 70% time rot chance, 50% slow, and 40% attack speed, do I only get 40% more? I really don't know. I'm not sure how it works, but I'm still going with it because in case, because you do have enough like chance of time rot, attack speed, melee, throwing attack. I'm not sure if like the hammer throw here would affect it, right? So like that's another thing. I don't know if the gloves affect it. Like it says with void skills or like in overall global. I really don't know, but you know. The point is that the rot ripples, if I'm going to go 5 points, I'm going to put it in here because you're just getting more damage. Going down, penetration, as you get to higher corruption, it has much more value. That's why I go it. Again, you can shred to below 0. So with Void Shred from my Blessing, I have it somewhere over here. You're going to cap that out. I think it's like 10 stacks. And it's like 2% or something. I don't know. But you pretty much really want to get penetration to hopefully close to 0. You get a bunch of Void Pen all over the gear. A little bit on the necklace and on the tree as well. So like very, very important. It helps a lot. Going down here, temporal velocity. This is something that I didn't go too often, but since I'm using Devouring Orb, I don't really care about the Void Rift. I care about the Vitality and I care about the CDR, this cooldown recovery speed, right? Reduction, PoE, right? So it's really, really big for Anomaly because having those 2 seconds over the course of like a 2-minute fight, it actually matters a lot. So like the more you can Anomaly, like the longer you're going to have a window of enemies taking more damage, which is very, very nice. The other skills, that doesn't matter too much. It's really about Anomaly. And the Vitality is just great. The Vitality gives you resist. As a Void Knight, you get even more life from Vitality. So that's incredible. You get more. You only need 4 points here. You want to take less damage from time-rotted enemies. They're always going to be time-rotted. They're always going to be slowed. So, like, a lot of negative damage reduction as Void Knight. Echo Chance. S, as we talked about this, for mana recovery. More life. Better Vitality scaling. Move speed, echo chance. If you want to put the 5 points into the move speed, you can do that if you want, but it's really up to you. Again, more echo chance, reduce attack and cast speed, armor. That's great. Add abyssal fluctuation, just absolutely incredible. Like, this is such a good tree. I will talk about some nodes I'm not taking. Future Mind, it's just not needed with the Void Essence upkeep that I have. With my mana sustain, you don't need it. With double T7s on gear, which we'll talk about in a second, you really don't need it. Yeah, I can't believe I got a 3 LP and I fucking bricked it as well. It's depressing, but oh well. This is pretty good too, but the thing about Patient Doom is that if you get an idol with spells can blind, you're gonna get crit immune that way. So you can do that. What else is over here? You don't need really any of this leech. As soon as you get at least 1 siphon, which you'll get pretty quickly, the leech rate and the void damage, like that's a 3%. In combination with Anomaly, like you have plenty of leech, double for void, leech, like it's just really, 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 really good. And you know, I think it's kind of a wasted point getting all that leech. It just kind of overkill to me. You're able to just face tank a lot of the stuff. And there's other good stuff here. Void Aegis, I think I'm a little bit overrated. Again, if you're gonna go Smite, it's just hard just to get Vitality scaling on Smite. You have to use those idols, and you're pretty much just wasting 5 points. Like the cast speed and the void beam don't do anything for you because you're not directly casting Smite, you're triggering it. Crit, see what else here. Like that's pretty much it. Like the spell damage, it helps for the majority of the art damage, but not for the Disintegrating Aura. This is pretty good. Again, I talked about this though, and that's pretty much it. Like the tree is really incredible. You're gonna need a lot of points here. You get a lot of life, and I think it's just the smart play, right? Like there's really no point or really justification to go 15 points into Paladin, right? So I also don't think it's worth it to even go deep into Blade Master if you were gonna use your blade or your Sightmer. If you want to do that, don't think it's worth it. And that's pretty much the skill tree, the passive tree, guys. So next up, we'll talk about gear and blessings. Pretty much nothing crazy. I have Shred instead of increased void damage. You can go increase void damage if you want and drop the Shred, get Shred from other sources, but I like having the reliability. I'm getting resist pretty much everywhere I can, just to help ease out my resist, trying to farm that one maxed out, which helps a lot because that's all resist, not Ellie resist. That's everything. Even at like 500 plus corruption, I was pretty much playing in like the 60s for Ellie. As you take a lot of elemental damage as Void, it helps a lot. So that's really, really nice. Like the Void Knight's like incredibly tanky. Maybe not as tanky as Paladin. Probably definitely not as tanky as Paladin, but it's still really, really good build. Pretty much like resist and Void Shred are the two big choices. With here, I actually go block chance. There are armor nodes over here, but I actually like the block chance. I'd rather max that out, and I'm like really, really close to getting max block. I just need a little bit better rings and a little bit better shield, but we'll get there eventually. And that's the blessing. So right into the gear. Well, let's go into idols first. The thing that I love about not going Smite is that it frees up a whole bunch of idols. Helps ease out your resist. You get a whole bunch of penetration here as well. Damage over time. Vitality where you can, you know, resist. Trying to farm these woven things. Get a little bit better. But you can get a lot of damage. Like, you can get 300 damage over time from, like... Well, not from each, but like you get at least 100 from each, almost, if you have good rolls. So it's like kind of crazy. I mean, this you get over 150, like 160 something void damage over time at 100% of the time, which is nuts. So that is something to think about. If you can farm good idols, it's a big difference. Like those 4 idols, that's, I mean, what's that, 400? That's 600 increased void damage over time that you possibly can have if you can sort out your resist on your gear. So my resist is like, well, my gear is a little bit weird. Trying to get good bases. The helm and chest, really good bases. I'm not going to talk about other uniques, so I'll be here forever. But a lot of good stuff here. On your chest, I really love having double health, and percentage. The nice thing about chest pieces in general, and really Exalted now, is that you have these Runes of Havoc. So what I do with the filter is that even if I have something that's not preferable on my Exalted Affix, if you have a lot of fortune potential, let's say this was like a T6 mana, I think this actually was T6 mana, and I Rune of Havoc and got health. So that's absolutely massive, maxing out that 22 to 30% health, that's huge. So something to think about is that even these items that you think might be bricked as Exalted, they're really not. It's why I love Last Epoch so much. Helm, you know, this would be better if I had Devouring Orb levels, I think. But, you know, it is what it is. Anomaly levels are okay. You know, one big thing about crafting, I'll talk about quick. I talked about my old videos. Use your Glyphs of Despair. Like, if you, like, getting even just one level, it helps a lot. So, like, at your T2 or 3, you have a very, very good chance of sealing that affix. So, use your Glyphs of Despair if you have something with good potential. Again, pretty much what we want is void damage and damage over time are big scalings. Yes, Disintegrating Aura does scale with flat damage, you know, throwing attack speed, throwing flat damage, but that's all it's gonna help. Like our kit, our whole damage, and Last Epoch as a whole, even though you might be pressing one button, there's a lot of automation. The builds are not always gonna be contingent on using one skill and scaling one method. It's about all the skills that you use. So like, we have the Ravaging Aura, the Devouring Orb, and Disintegrating Aura, right? With Time, Rot, and Doom, a lot of our ailments. So, like, that's the totality of the build. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use Affix. I really should add different gloves. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use an Affix for something that's only going to help one part of the build and not scale everything else, all the other void damage. So that's why you really want to focus on void damage general and void damage over time, or damage over time generally. But again, void damage over time helps, and void penetration. So that's why, like, those are really the affixes you want. The throwing damage here, I need a new belt. I've had this since oh my god, literally forever. But you know, move speed on boots is pretty cool. You can use the Stymied Fates if you want. Gives pretty good damage, more doom chance, haste on hit. If I got these with move speed, I'd probably use them. So that's really cool. Talking about the rings, the rings are really incredible. Block chance, I don't care about the endurance right there. The void damage over time, but the T7 throwing attacks are incredible. I pretty much got all these by just filtering rings, and every ring I would just go like, I would have like show me rings with T7 affixes. Hopefully an open prefix, or not, I would just forge it and I would get my T7 that way. I was so close to getting like a GG Siphon of Agents here. I forgot what else. I think I had void damage on it, or damage over time, and I got the minion dodge, or maybe I didn't. No, I didn't, because that was a prefix. I had something else, health or block, that I wanted. I didn't get the block chance, I think, but that's unfortunate. But again, like getting a 2 LP Siphon, like I have a metric fuck ton of 2 LP Siphons. You're gonna pretty easy to get. It's easy to farm Ouroboros. You know, T7 throwing attack, health, block chance. I'd rather have the block chance than health. Because if I had block chance here or a higher affix block chance here, and this was capped out on both of the block chances, like I would max out block just like that, and I'm done. I could also just take the 3 points. I would free up 3 points somewhere over here, and I would just get the max block chance there. But like that's how easy it is to get block chance. Talking about bulwark, why do you go bulwark? Again, if you're gonna use your set crafting, you're not gonna go bulwark. But the reason why you go bulwark is that even though this is like the melee crit, you do get that 70% increased void damage during apocalypse, which helps a lot. And the thing is that normally a shield, it's not going to be able, it's only going to have that block chance on it, right, as an exalted. You can't get 2 block chance affixes on the shield. With the legendary and the legendary potential, all of a sudden you can slam a T7 block chance, and now you pretty much, you just have another 21 to 26 block chance. So that's why you go bulwark. It's just easier to max out block. Talking about Abberoth's command, we talked about that. You can go this or you can go this. Just drop Ravaging Aura. I love Abberoth's command. I think it's such a good weapon. I don't think even getting the set bonus is worth it. Even that 36% more multiplier, I don't think it's worth it. Atrophy is massive. I gotta farm more. I've never seen a 2 LP one, couple 1 LPs, but the penetration is huge. Again, as you get higher corruption, you'll have more penetration. Enemies get harder. Like the more penetration, the better. You get the slow on hit. Does that slow on hit help with rot ripples or whatever? I don't know. And that's pretty much it. Talk about the amulet. Again, I like to like slam these other things. Didn't get a lot of forger potential here. No life. I need a better amulet, but like getting the T7s on damage over time or void, big deal. It would help if I have different base with different resist. And we'll talk about the relics real quick. I really like Code of the Sentinel. You can see I farmed a whole bunch, and what you can do now with Code of the Sentinel is you can use Rune of Weaving, and you don't have to put it on your body. You can just Rune of Weaving it, and I've gotten so many of these. I spec'd into the Woven Echoes, the tree, for more Reaver's Will down here, and I probably looted like 30 something of them and crafted them, and I didn't get a single one with hammer throw. So eventually, as I progressed through monoliths, I got Anchor of Oblivion, and I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna guarantee that I get the hammer throw levels. The hammer throw levels are incredible. That's 90% increased damage for Disintegrating Aura. You get all this more damage, more mana. It's just really good, right? Again, from what I've seen, that it's bugged, and the way the hammers does affect the damage. So not sure if it's true or not, but you know, I don't know, right? But that's pretty much that. And that's talking about really gear. That's why I use this. If you do get a Weaver's Will with hammer throw and some other good affixes, I'd probably use that, but it's really up to you guys. So I know it's a long video, guys. I do apologize, but hey, what last Epoch, like, you really do need long videos. I'll try to timestamp it as I go along, and that's pretty much it. This is my character, Guts_Giga Hammers, if you want to look it up. I am going to move on to a different build. Like, I don't really see a point to go to 100. I haven't looked at Uber Abberoth or any of the videos yet that people killing him, so I'm not really interested in killing him. I've been farming gear for my next build, which will be kind of a surprise that I'll try to get going soon enough. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Most of them, I'm going to tech here. Have a good one.